Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I'm going live here today to talk about the weekly energy for astrology. But before I get into the weekly energy, I want to talk to you guys about why astrology. Why did I choose this path of research and this process of education to understand myself and understand how to navigate the energies of the cosmos? Well, I'm going to go ahead and put my earbuds in here. I think that it'll help to hear. Can you guys hear me up there on Instagram? Let me know if the volume's okay. So, a long time ago, I'd say probably 2013, 2014, I, I had been researching and doing all these. What's up, Corey? I have been doing, after I got back from Iraq, let's go back a little bit, right? After I got back from Iraq in 2011, I was in a bad place. I was struggling with PTSD. I was on a bunch of medication. I was trying to find myself. I felt very lost in life, right? So, around the military base where I was at Fort Hood, Texas, it was a lot of churches, a lot of different, philosophies of religion. So I went and I tried out all these different religions, um, primarily Christianity. I studied Catholicism. I was reading the Bible. I looked into Buddhism. I looked into the Tao Te Ching. I even looked into Islam. I mean, I read and researched all of these different things. Now, my whole family is Christian, and I am friends with a lot of Christians. And the great thing I like about astrology is that it's not a religion, nor is it really a spiritual practice per se. For me, it feels like a blueprint for understanding the soul's guidance or purpose in this lifetime. All right. So the thing about astrology is that you can implant it into any of these different things. So when a lot of people say that, astrology is witchcraft, or there's a lot of stuff coming out about astrology right now that is just pure garbage. And I think it's because of the limited, the ignorance or the limited understanding of what astrology really is. And this is my personal opinion. You guys are welcome to disagree with me if you want. That's okay. But this is how I made sense of me. All right. So each planet in astrology represents an archetype of our personality. Each house represents an area of our life. So when we have a birth chart, it's a snapshot of the time and location of where we were born. And when we get this snapshot, it shows what our soul chose to come into this incarnation to experience, to learn. And of course, there are lower vibration or shadow frequencies, and there are higher vibrational frequencies to each aspect of each planet and each house. And then you get into the different aspects where they're speaking to each other, right? Whether it's a square or a trine or a sextile or a quincunx. So all these different aspects represent different ways that different parts of us communicate to each other. So, for example, if you take Jesus, right? Jesus was born, into this life at the highest vibration of each of these planets involved, because he had a birth chart too. So didn't Buddha. So didn't Allah. So didn't all these, or I'm not Allah, but Muhammad. All of these different, beings, these people that incarnated into this world, they all have a birth chart. And can hear no sound, huh? All right. Let me see here. Always having these technical issues with Instagram, man. Can you guys hear me now? Is there any sound going on? Still no sound, huh? All right, let's see. Try this again. All right, any sound now? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Check 1 2. Check it out. Let me know in the chat. All right, is there any sound? So with astrology, I got my very first all right, cool. When I got my very first astrology reading done. Now my first reading was was a Vedic reading. And Vedic astrology is a little bit different. It was created before they discovered the precession of the equinox. So tropical astrology is basically starts at the 23-degree mark where the precession of the equinox happens, right? So Vedic astrology is a little bit different, but that I feel is more of the soul's growth in this life, and then tropical astrology is more about the environment and the collective experience of where we're going. So think of it as just slightly different aspects of us growing and learning in this lifetime. So I've studied both. I've gone into all these different areas. Each time I've gotten a Vedic astrology reading, I've been told and shown that I have fame in my chart because I have my moon in my 10th house. That basically means that once I clear out all my emotional traumas and I connect to myself and I'm present consistently in my mind and my body, and I clear out all the trauma, and I have good solid boundaries, and I'm connected to myself completely, that is when I will be an influence to the world. And trust me, great, exciting and all that, but I've had my fair share of trauma that I've had to work through. But I seem to have this thing where each time I go through some level of trauma, everything that tries to destroy me just makes me stronger. Now, that's not to say that I want to go through all this. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't, trust me. But it's my soul's path. My ego just doesn't really like to go through all this stuff. So I choose to do the inner work in a very intense manner. I have Mars square Pluto in my chart, and I'm an Aries rising. And in tropical astrology, my rising sign is at exactly 23 degrees. So that means I'm a 0-degree rising in Vedic astrology, which means I'm literally connected to, like, my rising sign is the exact angle of the very beginning of the zodiac. So I'm very connected to the energies because all the planets are in all, like, the houses of the natural zodiac, right? So with all that information, right, we can apply this to virtually everything and anything. So if anybody, a lot of people have different opinions and views on astrology. This is just my personal view, but I use it because it's helped me understand all my different parts and levels of consciousness, all the different levels of challenges that I've gone through. I was, growing up, I was homeless for a long time, and I had a very, very difficult childhood, and I was very insecure, and I was scared of everything, right? I had fear ran my life for a very long time. So I've lived my life to face my fears, because as I face my fears, I overcome it, and then that's how I help others face their fears and move through it. So with that being said, right now we have one very significant aspect going on, actually two, this week, that are really hitting all of us pretty hard, as we are looking at the end of a major, major, major cycle. In fact, multiple layers of cycles that are kind of instigating or like forcing us to step up into this new, not even new chapter, but entire new life. All right, Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Now Jupiter conjunct Chiron only happens from around where every 19 to 22 years. Okay, like Jupiter conjunct Saturn every 20 years, but in Chiron's just out a little bit further than Saturn, but it also has like an uneven elliptical orbit, so it can be a little bit quicker or a little bit slower. But this is more like a generational aspect. All right, so we've had a lot of significant generational aspects going on throughout the last few years since 2020. It's more than I think any astrologer I know has ever seen, like in history, right? So with Jupiter conjunct Chiron, Jupiter makes everything bigger, and especially in Aries, this is all about our identity. So there's a part of all of our identities that is deeply wounded, that is dying. This could be past life. This can be, like I've talked about a lot on my videos, the 4 survival archetypes. the victim, the saboteur, the wounded child, and the prostitute. And we all have one to some certain extent within us that, needs to go. And it's those survival archetypes that pull us out of the present moment. Now, up until 2020, we were able to distract ourselves from the emotions or the things that we didn't want to feel and face. But now we're not able to do that because the collective vibration is increasing. So the universe is saying, level up. And right now, it's sort of like we're on this edge and it's like pushing us, like, go, go, go. It's time to go. So, a lot of people I've talked to are like having these crying bouts, like a lot of emotions coming up, and we may not even feel the emotion of the crying, just like for some reason it's all coming out. We're like, what the hell's going on? Right. So the key is to surrender to it, because, even if we don't understand it, we don't understand it. And when we don't understand it, we want to control it. Right. So we cannot control it, nor are we meant to control it. We are meant to allow it to move through us, to clear it out, and to be okay with whatever emotions. We have to be a channel to allow the stuff to move through us, because it is clearing out that inner saboteur. It is clearing out that inner victim, that inner prostitute, that inner wounded child. And it's bringing in a new level or layer of our soul to and be embodied into our cellular structure, right? All this energy that is coming off of the sun, like all these what do you call them? The things coming off the sun, right? I'm having a brain fart, but all these things are sending galactic, energy down here to us and activating what was dormant DNA to, shift from this carbon-based, DNA structure to a crystalline structure, so we can ascend into this next level of vibration, which is really coming into heart-based consciousness. So deeper levels of our ego are dying. And that's okay, but sometimes solar flares. Thank you very much, Taylor. Appreciate you, brother. Good to see you on here, by the way. And so, as these solar flares are intensifying, these ascension symptoms are getting more and more intense. But I will say that we're getting to a threshold, right, where, we don't understand it, and it may be painful in some areas, but as we learn to surrender into these feelings, we start to accept the new way of living. We start to accept the new way of being, and allow these growth processes to evolve us and to accept them. It's a lot of it is like calling out our control dynamics, because we're not supposed to control any of this stuff anyways, but we may all be feeling called to move somewhere or do a certain thing or be a certain way, or if we're in a job that we don't like or in a relationship we don't like, like the universe saying, all right, it's time to grow. You've learned the lessons from whatever it is that you were in, and and then time to move on and move forward. So whatever's weighing you down, whatever, maybe you are no longer getting joy or satisfaction and things that you used to partake in, or exercises or things that don't serve you, or aren't for your highest best vibrational good. Maybe you need to go out into the unknown and try something new. But right now, with Jupiter conjunct Chiron, everywhere you go, every person you meet, everything you do, every experience you have is going to bring in your wound. Your wound is going to be reflected back to you energetically in these ways that may not make sense, but it's sort of getting you to look at like who am I now? Who am I becoming? What area of life or what lifestyle or life practice am I coming into? Things don't make sense right now. Why is all this stuff falling apart? Let me tell you what, if there are things that are falling apart in your life, it's because it is no longer serving you. Okay. So let go of the things that are not making you feel good anymore. Right. There is no more, we cannot escape anymore. And these control dynamics that are coming up, right? Because everything is being twisted and manipulated from the outside sources. The powers that be are trying to confuse the process of ascension. And with these energies, they're playing on them to try to make it as difficult as possible. So distraction is huge right now. And not to mention the second aspect that we have this week is the third final Mars square Neptune, and the sun is conjunct Neptune, and Mercury is coming up to the conjunction of Neptune and the sun. All of this is squaring Mars, right? So Mars is finishing up its transit through Gemini. This is all the cerebral energy, all the inner chatter, all like you can't shut your freaking mind off. And it is gnarly right now. So in a way, we have to, I don't want to say distract, okay, because we don't want to distract ourselves, but we want to consciously choose what mind chatter we're going to get into through investing our energy, right? We're paying our attention to things that are supporting our growth or supporting our peace, right? For me, like I just spent 30 minutes laying down in my sound lounge to some binaural beats to open up my chakras, to clear me out so that I could give a solid and clear message to you guys. But with the sun and Mercury and Neptune and now Saturn also all in Pisces, you know, Pisces is this big, vast array of just an ocean of emotion. And when it's squaring over to Gemini, there's this ocean of thoughts, an ocean of feelings. Now, also, we are finishing up our Mars retrograde, right? So it's coming back to the point 25 degrees of Gemini where it retrograded. So that means that we're coming to the conclusion of this lesson. So this is the third of three Mars square Neptune conjunctions, because the sun and Mercury are there. This week, we're going to be seeing all the holy shit energy or the ideas or the thoughts or the feelings that we've been moving through that maybe whooped our ass a little bit here in the last few months, especially that piled on with the Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Man, this is some intense energy. And it's energy that we have to move through. Now, whether you need to just back off things or whether you need to do the opposite and go into things, pretty much whatever the thing is that you don't want to do is what you have to do right now. But this is also going to show how much truth that you're living to yourself, how much strength that you have in the capacity to address your own wounds, accept your own wounds. And as you integrate those wounds, your superpowers are going to strengthen. All right. If you're having issues sleeping, if you're having issues with food or being able to digest food, if you're having issues with your relationships and you're having a hard time, if you're getting triggered, like your triggers are your teachers. And right now we are in definitely like a master school of trigger. We're Trigger Factory USA, man. And we're at the very end of this nodal axis as well, which is just going to last a few more months. So this is all about our values, our ethics, our morals. Are we honoring our values and ethics? Are we honoring who we are? Are we really, honoring this new identity that, we're all getting like snippets, pieces of information about, this next chapter that we're all stepping into and who we're becoming and who we're meant to be. And, that requires work. It requires, discipline. It requires structure, but we're creating new structure. And so really the key is, because we're living, we're coming into a heart-based living, and we want to go into this direction because the other direction is going to be complete control and dominance and us having nothing and liking it, like, all the WEF is saying, and fuck that shit. We ain't going there, right? Because we are smarter than that. We are more aware than that. And we're doing the inner work so that we can grow and learn and, create the beautiful, amazing life that we all want, right? So with that being said, this week is also coming to the end of Pisces season, and then we're coming into the beginning of Aries season, which is really the start of the new year, zodiac wise. And especially being an Aries rising, I feel like that is the beginning of the year. It definitely feels like the beginning of the year for me. The weather's starting to get warmer, at least in some parts of the world. I know down here in Phoenix right now it's starting to get warmer, and I am loving that shit. But coming into Aries season and the new moon we have on next Tuesday, I'll be talking about that next week more. But this is a major, massive new start, and new, like the energy is going to lighten up a lot. So the energy is very heavy right now. It's sort of at its peak energy, primarily, aside from these two aspects that I just talked about. is because Pluto is at the very last degree of Capricorn, and it's about to come into 0 degrees of Aquarius, where we also had the Saturn in the Saturn Jupiter conjunction at 0 degree, and I believe also the Saturn Mars conjunction in 2020 as well. So, these energies are all very intense, and it's building upon itself. So almost like, like it's like Tetris. The final pieces of the Tetris puzzle are getting locked in, and the closest it gets to this locked in position, it's almost like the more foreign or incomplete it feels. But then once the last piece clicks in there, it's like, bam, okay, now we know, now we have all the pieces connected. But this is divine time. You can't rush this shit. You have to be patient and trust the process. Okay. And trust me, I'm incredibly empathic. I'm very, very sensitive to energy, and these energies have been whooping my ass. And, I've been struggling with it myself. All these, difficult things have been coming up for me too. So I feel y'all. All right. But, I know that for me, I have to, what's up, Danny? How you doing? Nice to see you on here. I know that I have to fully invest, fully commit to the vision that I'm working on right now. And I am doing that I'm literally, sleeping at my office and staying here and getting up early in the morning and going for a run in the morning, outside. That's one thing that I do not like to do. I pretty much, I don't want to say I hate it, but it's definitely a displeasurable experience. But I'm doing it because I know that afterwards I feel great, and I feel like I got a little win, and I'm ready to, just kick ass in my day, just make it happen, get it done. Right. Yeah. What's up, Gaitan? Allowing the discomfort to be, and also too, unity, community, support, having a good support system, not isolating yourself. A lot of empaths will isolate themselves and just, avoid people. But this is about learning how to be okay being vulnerable and emotional around people that you can trust, and that care about you, and that being able to be vulnerable like that around people is some people have a very, very difficult time being vulnerable. And when you're able to allow yourself into that place, then that brings a sort of sense of humility. And really, when you can feel supported, that in and of itself will help clear out some of these, childhood wounds, and, this stuff that has been weighing on you, because we're not meant to do this alone. And the time before this, everybody was doing, a lot of really successful people, they're doing it alone, or, you get to a certain point and you just, and it is all about delegation for, bigger projects. But we all have a certain component to the bigger puzzle, to the bigger picture, right? So there is no more one person is in charge and then, everybody else is subservient. No, this is all about how can we all be a team, just like a special forces team. That's how I see this, right? Like, everyone has a particular skill, and when the people that can be vulnerable and are truthful and honest with themselves and have a collective vision of the same thing come together, you allow, like, leaders build other leaders. So, I've dropped out. You guys still hear me? Everything good? So the sort of overall theme for this week, right, is seeing where we can create better, more solid boundaries, understanding the finality of this lesson of the Mars Neptune square, and embodying it into our soul, into our spirit, and then communicating this into being ready to step into this new cardinal energy that's going to happen next week, and trusting and surrendering to the flow through presence. Learning how to be present in the hard stuff makes it a lot easier and more simple to be present in the better and easy stuff, because when it gets better and easier, it's like, oh, okay, it's easy, so I can kind of not slack, but not have to move so hard. We want to be consistent through the difficulties and through the good times as well. All right. And let me tell you what, everybody in the world right now is an empath, or is getting activated in their empathic capacity. Once Pluto goes into Aquarius, 0 degrees, next Thursday, that's when we're really going to see the veil lift, and that's where we're going to see a lot of very interesting things happening. We're already seeing, a lot of well, two in particular banks have claimed bankruptcy and collapse. I think we're going to see a lot more of that, and a lot of financial stuff start to get a little wacky. All right. But, Pluto in Aquarius is all going to be more about bartering, about, what do you have of value that I have of value, and how do we do an equal and opposite energy exchange? Because, money, fiat money is, has been a system that is sort of a lie, right? Like they're printing the stuff out of nowhere, and, like created like this mass psychosis of we need this much money to do this. And it's going to shift, it's going to change. Like, there's other value systems out there that, Pluto is going to come into awareness. In fact, when Pluto went into Capricorn back in 2008, that's when we had the last, crash in the financial system. So we're going to see something similar, but it's going to be more absolute this time, because it's coming into another 20-year cycle with all these other shifts and things happening and changing, especially coming on top of where the Saturn Jupiter conjunction was. We're literally coming into an overall new like air sign dominance as opposed to an earth sign dominance, right? So air sign is more like speaking your truth, speaking your thoughts, and even like the bartering system is going to be shifting and different. And people are going to jump on this because quite frankly, money's going to start to be kind of worthless. Now we're still going to need it in certain ways, shapes, and forms. I'm just saying that the attitude towards fiat money and to other forms of currency are going to change and shift. All right. This explained my narcissist Scorpio mom resurfacing. Well, I mean, that could be a lot of things explaining it, Arizona denizen. But, the South Node right now is in Scorpio, and any narcissistic tendencies for anyone are being exposed right now. And it's sort of like a rubber band. It goes out and boom, it's coming right back into their face. Narcissists are going to have a really, really hard time right now, because the universe is not playing that game anymore. Narcissistic tendencies are really going to be called out, to be purified, to be cleansed. In fact, look at all the stuff that's going on with all the leaders and politicians and stuff right now. Narcissism has been ruling the world for a long time, and we have psychopaths and sociopaths that are in charge of this world, and they're all getting their shit smacked back in their face, and they're going to start losing everything. That's why they try to get ahead of the power curve in 2020. That's what this whole massive financial shift to all these people. Let me tell you what, pretty soon we're going to see that those people are going to be coming to people like myself and other healers and empaths out there, because they're going to be feeling so shitty because all this darkness is now, their heart is opened up. They don't have a choice. And with this opening up, they're going to be coming to healers and, people to be able to clear them out, because the narcissism is just not going to work anymore. They're going to start to decay. Right. And, they have all this money, but now they're completely miserable and feel like complete shit. So, how's that going to work out? So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, especially from now until 2025, 2026, when the Saturn Neptune conjunction happens, also at 0 degrees, well, 29 degrees to 1 of Pisces to 1 degree of Aries. And that's, so I feel like this new moon on Tuesday, at 0 degrees of Aries is sort of like a prequel. It's a starting phase of this this cycle 2.5 years down the road, when we see Saturn and Neptune conjunct. That's when things are really that's gonna be like the true next level start in this new way of extrasensory perceptions. I think that we're gonna start. Hey, what's up? What's going on, dude? Nice to see all you guys on here. Thanks for jumping on here and checking it out. I really appreciate you all very much. Yeah, 2025, 2026. We all have these telekinetic extrasensory perceptions going on, just buried underneath all the fear and all the insecurity, all the doubt and whatnot. In order to be able to read somebody's energy or read somebody's mind, there cannot be any blockages. That's why, like, when I'm doing, astrology reports, right, I can read someone's energy as deeply as they allow me to connect with them. So, I've had years of, proof of showing people all these things that I'm accurate about, because I've done the work within myself. So I can dig into people as much as I've dug into myself. Right. But people that don't believe in this, that are like, this is bullshit, then I can't connect to their energy because they're shut off from it. Right. So we'll be able to communicate telepathically from each other if we have cleared out our fear. And that's why this timeline is splitting right now. We're literally coming into this new timeline really this summer, in a major way. But there are many, many layers and many levels that are going to continue to go on and on. And the next really, really big level is going to be that conjunction in 2025, 2026. But between now and then, it's like this is the time to clear all that out, because we are building this new Earth, and this new Earth, we're not going to need cell phones. We are the technology, guys. So you want to connect or communicate with someone, you'll be able to tune in while you're in the present moment, whatever feeling, whatever thought, but you have to be able to feel all your feelings as a thing, right? So that's what the universe asks us to do right now. Feel all these feelings, look at the things that are being suppressed, look at how we're avoiding, look at how we're distracting, and, and then bring that up, allow it. And if you're around people that you can't be vulnerable with, if you're around people that you can't express these vulnerabilities and these feelings with, and that's going to not last too long or too well. Now, we also have a yod this week, pretty much the whole week, between Venus, which is coming, to the very end of Aries, kind of a good thing, and Venus is also going to conjunct the North Node as soon as it gets into Taurus, which is also a really beautiful thing. I'll get into that later. But this yod is connecting to Ceres. That's the learned lesson. Ceres is at 2 degrees of Libra, where we have Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces sextiling over to Venus. This is really beautiful for karmic justice in regards to understanding what we need and want in relationships and what we're no longer willing to deal with. This is identifying, again, these deeper layers of these boundaries that we're putting up and putting into with the Mars energy as well. So it's like these difficult feelings, these difficult energies are there. Then we're like, you know what? Fuck this. This is what I want. This is what I deserve. This is this is how I'm going to communicate. This is where I'm not going to let you cross my boundary. I'm not going to let this thing slide anymore. The buck stops here. This is where my self-worth, my self-confidence, this is who I am. This is who, and this is what I deserve. And this is where I'm going to put my foot down and stand up for me. This is about, like, not letting people push you around, not letting people cross your boundaries anymore. If something someone is making you feel shitty or less than or not very good, this is the time. This is the time to stand your ground. This is the time to, honor your deep wounds, communicate your deep wounds, communicate to yourself of, this is not just working for me. This is not feeling good. And we're going through a massive filtration process. I know for me, I've seen a lot of my friends, a lot of people that, I was connecting with and, barding with and like working on, building these multiple visions together. A lot of people I'm seeing are just stuck in their shadow and stuck in their shit. And these control dynamics, like, look, we all have a vision right now. We're getting downloaded with this vision of how we want the rest of our life to look and be. But if you're super controlling, my vision has to look this way, it's only going to work like this, you have to do it my way, right? That ain't going to work, because with unity, with building community, it's not all going to be your way. You have a certain piece. You have to have the vision and then let go of how it's going to play out. You have to be flexible in your approach. And if you're telling people, like if you're creating drama or creating ripples or creating, thought processes or feelings in other people that are like, well, I don't really resonate with that. And you're not making me feel very good. Or, I'm kind of feeling pressured or forced to act or be this certain way, or this isn't what I'm feeling is in alignment for me. That is going to make it fall apart. And it's not going to come to fruition, because, like, really, when you have multiple people creating these visions and creating these ideas, like, in order to be able to come to fruition, you have to let each person put their feeling into it and let it let it, mold into the bigger thing. When you're creating a Voltron, each piece and part has a specific piece to play that you're not in control of. So and control comes from narcissism, and narcissism stems from having childhood wounds, mommy and daddy issues that made you feel, it made you feel unsafe. So because you feel unsafe in the flexibility, you feel like you have to control everything. And trust me, I've had to go through my own processes of letting go of control and allowing things to evolve and to surrender and to not, have faith. These fear dynamics that are within us, that's Jupiter and Chiron, whatever you're afraid of. And maybe whatever you're afraid of, you don't even know that you're afraid of it. All right. Or maybe it comes out as anger or trying to fix somebody or fix something that is not meant to be fixed. Right. I was just talking to my friend earlier, especially with family, trying to fix a situation. That is just not your call. Everyone has their own soul path that they're going down right now. And and of course, like if you have children, yes, our responsibility to take care of our children and do everything we can, but not to sacrifice your own process, to subdue or suppress what you're meant to do in this life. Because the fact is, like, when my daughter was first born, when I was trying to make it work with my baby mama, she wanted me to just go to the VA and just, try to get, higher disability and to get on medication and to be suppressed. And I couldn't live my life like that. Like, look, no, I got to create my own foundation because I'm worth more than that. And I have a bigger purpose here to help others, and not be doing the universe and my daughter a disservice if I didn't go do these things. And yes, for a temporary period of time, I'm not able to see my daughter as much as I want to. All right. And that's been something that I've had a difficult time with moving through, but I'm moving through it. And like I in my heart, I send love to my daughter every day. And in fact, she is my why. She is my why for everything that I do. And I, she gets me up every single day, and she helps me move through all these difficult things. And I know that, as I work towards, all the things that I want to create, and, to help the world become a better place, the universe responds with, being able for me to create this safe future for my daughter. And I will have a beautiful relationship with her, when the time is right. So that's where I've had to surrender. I've had to let go. I've had to move through those things. And, so ask yourself, where are you struggling? Where are you trying to make sense of things? Where are you controlling things? Where are you, allowing others to violate your boundaries or control you or suppress you? Like, also I've seen some other people where, like they can, like, I know some girls that, connect with really wealthy dudes, but these wealthy dudes end up controlling them or, subduing their independence. And like, no, like, we have all this shit, and I'm going to take care of you financially, but, you have to do it my way, or, my needs are the only needs that matter. Your needs don't mean shit. Right. Like, where are you allowing other people, to dictate your future and your livelihood of who you really are and who you're meant to be? We all have to follow our heart. And if there is anything at all that is violating your heart right now, it feels shitty. Right now, it feels difficult. Right now, it feels heavy. It's weighing on your soul. Okay. Because you got to step out of that safety, out of that fear. And even if, like, I've also talked to some people, right, that, oh, I don't pay attention to what's going on in the world. I don't want that stuff to mess up, my mind. Look, even if you're not watching the news, even if you're not paying attention to anything that's going on in the world, the collective frequency, we're all feeling it. So the key is to be informed, observe, but do not absorb, right? Um, so with the observing and not absorbing, that's where we have to look in ourselves to where we're insecure and where we're, not feeling, our greatest. And sometimes when we're, sometimes when we don't understand what we're feeling, we have to allow that to be okay, because eventually when we sit with it, the answers will come through an intuitive knowing. Once you get into that experience, that place where it's like, okay, universe, God, source, whatever it is that you want to call it, because I believe it's all the same thing, right? I'm going to let this go. I'm going to allow myself to be okay feeling this, right? And then once you accept it, you let go of that resistance, and there's sort of like, right? And then you get around the person, you get around the thing, the situation that has been, bugging you, but not really sure why or what's bugging you about it. And then that intuitive nudge comes through because the resistance is gone. But it's going to come through not when you're controlling or not when you think it's going to come through. It's going to come through when you're energetically ready to receive it. So it's almost like reverse day, right? Earth School right now is reverse day, where you got to let go first. You got to do the inner work first. And then once you energetically shift your vibration, which it takes practice to be able to do this. Okay. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still, it's still a challenge at times to be able to move through these. It never gets easier. You just get stronger. All right. And as we learn how to do this, then the information comes, then it's like, now I know. But the key is there. So you have to trust the knowing, which is trusting your heart. Because all these doubts, all this like, well, it doesn't make logical sense, and I don't know, and what if, and how come, and blah, 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 and whatever your mind wants to tell you, that is not really, in alignment with what look, your heart doesn't make logical sense sometimes. Actually, often it doesn't make any logical sense. All these feelings come up, like when you fall in love with someone, right? Anyone that's really been in love, it makes you act like, do weird things. It makes you feel like, well, I don't know why I'm feeling this. Like you can't sleep at night, and then all you want to do is be around them, and you start crying out of nowhere. Like when my daughter was born, I felt that love. Like I cried for 3 months straight. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense. So our left brain doesn't know how to calibrate it all the time. So we have to learn how to be okay with feeling this shit and it making no sense, but knowing that eventually it will make sense. And you know what? Whatever. Um, hey, um, oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. Yes, so this is live, and I'm also recording this for my YouTube channel. Yes, you can go ahead and Haley, you can go on this on my YouTube as well. I'll be uploading this later on. All right. Thanks for jumping on here. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon. Yeah, so it's really important to be able to do the inner work first, because as within, so without, right? The energetic signature of the way that we're moving through, it's almost instantaneous. So also the opposite is true. When you're allowing these triggers to dictate what you do, you're going to put it out there in the world, and bam, it's going to smack you in the face almost right away. So a good way to determine if you're actually doing the work and moving through this, in an efficient manner, is looking at your external environment. Where is it full of drama, or is it full of like good things coming back at you, or are there lessons there, things that you really have to look at yourself and be able to draw a line in the sand, or be able to be true and honest with yourself, or like, what is the status, what is the situation, and look, stand by that, step into it, and be honest with yourself and own it 100%. All right. So as we go through this week, we have Jupiter finally that's going to be going beyond Chiron. So it's like, today, right now, it's like we're right in the middle of the gooey shit that don't really feel too good. But Neptune exactly conjunct the sun. We're very open and intuitive to seeing and learning the lessons. And then we also have Mercury that's creeping up here, where on the 16th, we're going to have Mercury conjunct Neptune, and the sun there at 26 degrees too. So there's a lot of intuitive guidance, intuitive information that we're going to be receiving. And this is for the collective. This is all while this yod is going on. And when Saturn is involved in a yod, this is like karmic justice. It's karmic information. With Venus coming now to the end of Aries, it's looking at like how we want to receive in regards to relationships, about what we deserve. It's all about relationships. Okay. And Mars finally comes to 26 degrees on the 17th of March. And on that day, we're going to have Pluto conjunct the moon. Now, Pluto conjunct the moon, of course, is like very deep, intense, communication with ourselves. And that's quincunx over to Black Moon Lilith. Now, Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo. So this is looking at like, are we being manipulative or being manipulated? Wherever Pluto is in your chart, like this is really the deep down death and rebirth energy. And with the moon conjuncting this here, and then we'll be conjuncting Saturn the next day, no, 2 days later. Pluto's death and rebirth, and like bringing it up to the surface. And then Saturn, is it sitting at the surface, and what is a karmic lesson, and how do we integrate that energy and move through it? But Black Moon Lilith then goes retrograde, so at 29 degrees, both 29 degrees on the 19th. All right, this is like we have 1 foot on the edge of the cliff, 1 foot off, about to step off, and the universe is like saying, go slow. Right? So with that slow moving, also Venus now, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. We got Venus coming into Taurus on the 17th. And then on the 19th, Venus will be conjuncting the North Node. So with that, and with Mercury conjunct the Sun at 27 degrees of Pisces, in fact, that's probably that cazimi is going to last pretty much all the way to the end of Pisces. So we have a lot of energy, right, that is coming through the end of the zodiac, where this is the very, very end of many, many layers, all the way down to Pluto. And, Pluto hits way down to the very, very deep, deep depths of the soul. And we're coming into, this is like a generational energy. We're coming into a new generation of our lives, of our soul's mission and purpose. So while Venus is coming into its home sign, conjunct in the North Node, this is like, what do we deserve? And what have we learned that we deserve? What have we learned that we've been dealing with or putting up with that we don't deserve? And then we got to dig deep, deep down. What do we do within ourselves to step into the power to create and own the life that we want and that we know that we deserve? Okay. The moon coming through Pluto, then to Saturn here in Pisces, is integrating that, and then seeing how we can actually structure it emotionally in our consciousness. And then, of course, when we come into next week, Tuesday, we have the new moon at 0 degrees. This is like a spring chicken. Poof. We're going to have a release of this old energy. 2 days later, we have Pluto coming into Aquarius. That's going to open up another level of lightness, of like, finally, man, kind of like, yesterday I watched Creed, right? Creed 1 and 2, because psyching myself up for this 30-day reset that is already like, I'm feeling good. Like, it's like getting ready for a show, like consciously putting all my focus and energy on doing all these things that are good for me that kind of suck, but it's all good. Like I'm taking it one step at a time. And I don't really know 100% what's going to happen tomorrow. All I know is that what I'm doing right now, and focusing on things that are positive to grow myself emotionally, financially, spiritually, and physically, nutritionally, mentally, all of it, right? Because I was getting caught up in this energy for a little bit, and I was getting sucked into my bad habits. I wasn't sleeping well. Sometimes this energy can be very overwhelming. And for me, a big lesson for me, as I've been finally bring all the culmination of my vision and of everything that I want to do for my life purpose, for Healing Pathways, for Activation Nation down here in Phoenix, as I was trying to control all different aspects. But I have an amazing team. In fact, what's up, Taylor? I have an amazing team now that I've manifested into my environment. My boy Chosen, that runs, Protege performance and fitness, right? My girl Mama Jody, she's like my sister from another mister. That is like, we have a crazy connection. And she's a networker, and she's helping me bring people to it, right? Creating community with unity, right? All these things I was trying to control it all my own, because that's how I've done it before, right? So learning how to create a bigger vision with more people, with a team, with different leaders, and allowing them to do their leadership part, and trusting that, it's going to get done, so that I can focus on what I'm good at, which is healing, which is helping people, right? And thank you very much, Arizona Denizen. I appreciate you. So with all this, revitalization, with all this, learning how to accept support, right, is part of letting go of that control dynamic, which I've never really done before because I've never had it. So all these different parts of ourselves are being activated, and we've never experienced this before. And each and every one of you out there is experiencing this in your own unique way, right? So let go of the control dynamic, allow the people that, have proven that they support you and proven that they're going to be there and proven that they're leaders in their own right, to be able to stick up for you, to do their part, because you inspire them through you doing what you're really great at, and then trust others to do what they're really great at, and bring that together, just like Voltron. Or if you want to use a Transformers reference, whatever, when the Transformers come together and create that bigger Transformer, right? Like, that's how we, as the people, come in to change this world. And that is exactly what we're doing in this year. Let me take a step back for a second, right? This year, with Pluto going into Aquarius, we're getting a taste of this deep new world that we're creating and and activating within us. And where this new world is starting to blossom, there is also a part of us that is dying at a very, very deep level. And we are, through this whole year, Pluto is going to go back into Capricorn, in the summer, when the node shift and when we're in the middle of eclipse season, this next start of an 18-month cycle. So we're really, this entire year is the year of the slow but deep and fundamental metamorphosis of who we are, right? It's about letting go of the old life of struggle that us empaths, of us light workers, of us starseeds have been living, and learning how to step into our power, because we're all being activated with our superpowers. We all have a superpower, and we all have to believe in ourselves enough for them to get activated and use them. Okay. If you don't know what your superpower is, get a reading from me and I'll help identify it, and I'll help you understand how to use it and how to work with it. And if you have any blockages, come down here to Mesa and I'll do some healing work on you and help clear that out. That's what I'm good at. That's what I do. And there's nothing that makes me feel better than seeing people evolve and grow and get rid of all their heaviness and shit, because, as empaths, when we help other people feel better, we feel better. That's part of the Chiron energy of the wounded healer. And that's why even in the Bible, right, it says the meek shall inherit the earth. And the meek is the humble. And that Chiron energy, especially this Jupiter Chiron energy, this is humbling energy. This is like keeping us super, super humble. But, humble in a powerful way, not in a subservient way. Okay. So coming into the end of this week, we have Mars now that's out of its, final square. Once it comes past, once these aspects come past the pinnacle or the apex of it, it's like finally we got to the point of it. The pimple pops. All right. But we have like a pimple that has like 10 layers right now. It's like pop, 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 pop. And we're like, when the fuck is it going to end? Stop popping. Where's the last pop? Right. The last pop is going to be when Pluto goes into Aquarius. Well, the last pop, at least for this section. and then the next phase is going to be the next eclipse cycle, which we're coming into Aries and Libra, which is going to be taking all these ethics and morals and things about money and finances and what we deserve, and evolving it into our relationships. Now, how do we embed all these morals and ethics lessons that we've learned about what we deserve, about financial independence, about life independence, about relationship with ourselves, what we deserve, and then coming into a new relationship with ourselves in an 18-month cycle about processing and sort of becoming all of these lessons that we had learned, and stepping into this new version of ourselves, which is we have two new moons in a row in Aries, one at 0 degrees and one at 29 degrees. So that's really like, and being Aries rising, I'm actually really looking forward to this because that new Aries rising eclipse, with Jupiter coming into, once it hits 23 degrees, it'll be in my ascendant. And that's when that's where I believe that shit's gonna blow in a good way. So I'm preparing myself now so I can be ready for all these things to really bring a lot of people together and do a lot of really great work in this world with my great team, and you know, make things pop and help a lot of people. Because you know, one thing that we have coming up, that's for sure, is we're going to have a lot of mental health issues with Saturn and Pisces. The good thing is that all these spiritual lessons, all these, you know, teachings, all these spiritual type businesses that don't really have form right now, we're going to be able to form them and structure them. We could also see a lot of restrictions on like medicines, or even like plant medicines. On one hand, they could be used a lot more. On another hand, the government could try to restrict them. We already see, you know, the pharmaceutical industry coming out with an ayahuasca pill, which is fucking retarded. It's absolutely insane. The pharmaceutical industry already has their hands all the way in the cannabis industry, and I believe in the mushroom industry as well. So, you know, we don't want these medicines to be messed with like that. You know, we need to leave them natural, and so that's why we got to start to, you know, learn how to you know, grow the stuff ourselves, or work with different. I know of a couple foundations that are already working to make sure that these things are legalized. And you know, why is a plant illegal is absolutely asinine to me. I mean, I cannot even understand the concept of how they're on a like, these laws are ridiculous. And I think that more and more people are starting to see that and see the incredible benefit that these things have. Now they must be used responsibly, just like anything, right? But there's too much benefit to these to be ignored. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about that here in the next few months, because I think it's really important to bring awareness, especially from the sheer extensive amount of experience I've had with them. I've seen miracles happen with these things, and you know, I think I see the pharmaceutical industries are going to start to collapse more and more, and you know, outside of their control dynamics, because it's hurting so many people and killing everybody, right? So yeah, the whole monetization thing with all that stuff, it's not going to really matter anymore, because healing, and you know, people want to be healthy, and people want to be healed. It's just a matter of educating people and getting the word out there. So with that, also too, let's see, on March 18th, I wonder if it's before this. No, okay, so on March 18th, we start to have a second yod on top of the one yod with Saturn and Venus, although Venus is starting to come outside of the yod area. We're gonna have a second yod here between Pluto sextiling to Mercury and the Sun, that is both quincunx to Black Moon Lilith. And that one's going to be interesting, because, you know, to me, Black Moon Lilith at 1 degree of Virgo, retrograding back to 0 and 29 degrees respectively. This is going to be, you know, looking at the remnants or residual amounts of toxic narcissism through our sexual energy. Right, Virgo is about purification. It's also about structuring, right? Learning how to work with and structure the spiritual and the more healthy versions of sexual energy to be utilized in a healthy and higher vibrational way. You know, sexual energy is life force energy, and a lot of really powerful healers have very powerful sexual energy, right? Like, I have a lot of powerful sexual energy, and when I was younger, you know, it got me in trouble, okay, because I had some toxic sexuality that I had to move through myself. And now that I've learned the lessons and I've cleared all that out, right, like, I kind of got to a point where my sexual energy was suppressed for a while. And I'll talk about all that another time on another video. But, you know, I've come to really, you know, honor the healing process for what it is, and, you know, clear out and let go of any kind of, you know, unhealthy or low vibrational desire. What I mean by that is, you know, we all have insecurity. Believe it or not, okay, believe it or not, you guys are going to be like, what the fuck about this? Believe it or not, I've always had a really difficult time talking to women. I've always had a deep insecurity from my mother wound, right? From my abandonment and rejection issues from my mother. So I've always had a really difficult time being able to talk to women. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I used to have a stutter, right? I was so nervous I couldn't talk to girls, right? So whenever like I felt like a girl was interested in me, I'd be like, all right, let's get it. And it was almost like, especially when I was living in Vegas, um, I invited a lot of toxic sexuality into my life that got me into some trouble, and I learned my lesson from all that stuff. So now it's like, what? I don't I actually don't even know how to flirt anymore. it's I'm very professional, very like, okay, this is what it is, and no more flirting, because flirting just seems to get me in trouble, and I don't want to get in any more trouble like that. I'm a healer, and I create very vulnerable spaces for the healing process. So when I do everything and anything that I do now, I come at it from a healing place. And if I'm meant to be with someone, then I will, but I'm not rushing it. I'm not trying to force it. I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm just being the healed version of me. And if something's meant to be, then it'll come along slowly and surely. And no rushing, no insecure like game where I didn't even realize I was playing it, until I got into these situations that were not necessarily good or productive for me. And I've learned my lesson through that. Right. So that's just something a little vulnerable that I'm sharing with you guys, so that, you can get an understanding. Like a lot of people, the starfish, flirting has just caused me trauma. Well, me too. And so no more creating any more trauma for this guy. Right. I'm good with that. But with this yacht here, it's good. And being quincunx to Pluto, and sextile over to Mercury. What is it in here that we maybe there's going to be some opportunities to learn some lessons, or some way to purify our sexual energy to a new level? um who knows? It could be anything. Maybe if you have a partner practicing tantra or some kind of sexual alchemy, with your partner, or kundalini yoga, or whatever chicks be doing, like yoni steam baths and and all this fun stuff. But you got to take care of your sexual energy. You got to learn how to work with it in its most purest form, because that is the way, the deepest way of healing and purifying a lot of sexual energy, especially clearing sexual trauma. And let me tell you, there is a lot of sexual trauma out there in the world, and in order to be able to clear that, we have to honor our highest vibrational process of that sexual energy, um, to really be able to clear it out. Hey, what's up, you? Thank you guys for all being on here. It's been great chat with you guys again, and hell yeah, good times. So looking forward to next week when all these new energies are coming in, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, great week. Oh, also we have Uranus now coming into 16 degrees, which we haven't seen that in a while. So well, actually since World War II, right? So Uranus coming into this level of Taurus is really going to start to pick up the pace for allowing this Uranian energy to take over, to start running our life. Basically, before 2020, Saturn was sort of like the ruling energy. Saturn is the more control dynamic, right? Uranus is now like, as Pluto is clearing all this Saturnian karmic lessons, karmic energy out, Uranus is the energy that goes beyond, right? Because we're coming into the age of Aquarius, it's ruled by Uranus. So, unexpected, Uranus is like thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening, right? But it also is genius energy. It's like epiphanies. Oh my God, like figure this out. Like it's miracles. It's an inventor kind of energy. Like what can you invent that you didn't think was possible 5 years ago, right? What can you create? I have this idea and I want to manifest this idea into my reality, right? That's the kind of energy that's going to start become dominant. So you're going to start to see a lot of people becoming well-known, becoming famous in these very unconventional ways, right? Doing the 9 to 5 type of work is not going to work anymore. Entrepreneurial kind of work, and networking and connecting to other people, talking to people about weird shit like this, right, is going to start to become the norm. And a lot of the people that are stuck in the 9 to 5 matrixy kind of world are going to start looking like, how the fuck are these people doing all this weird shit, doing so well? And Uranus at this level, because once you learn to surrender and trust and have faith, this Uranian energy is going to bring downloads of ideas and dreams and all these things that are just miraculously going to start to appear and manifest. And the more they appear and manifest, the more you're going to believe, and the greater things are going to happen. So where is your weirdness, and where are you allowing yourself to trust in that weirdness and bring out, like, when you're living from your heart center, it doesn't make sense to the logical mind. So if you have a vision, I want you to think bigger. I want you to create this world in your mind that you see yourself living in, because you are the creator of your reality, right? We all are. So right now, where in your life are you not happy? Okay. And where are these belief systems, team weirdness? Fuck yeah. Where in your life are you allowing these things? Well, I got a bunch of clients and I'm doing, okay, and I'm making ends meet, but like, there's that idea in our mind that's always like, I want to be, have more money. I want to be living, I want to be living near an ocean as opposed to in the desert. I want to be, like, be around my kids as opposed to, being away from them. I want to, live in Costa Rica and just like work on a farm. I want to live in a commune. I want to be polyamorous instead of a, committed relationship, whatever it is that you want. All right. First of all, stop denying the things in your life that you think that you can't have because of your situations that are limiting you. We have to look at all these limiting beliefs, and Jupiter conjunct Chiron is also bringing that up to be looked at, right? Where are your limiting beliefs keeping you stuck? Because of these belief systems that have been conditioned into us through generations that have to be evolved, because we're clearing out generational karma, generational trauma. And in 2021, I was introduced to Iboga, and my Iboga mentor, shaman friend, Bryce Draper, and I did 4 flood doses in a row. I go hardcore in everything that I do, and most people will do 1 Iboga session in their lifetime, and it'll transform their life. Of course, Iboga completely transformed my life in many ways, which I'll tell another video. But Iboga show on my 4th Iboga flood dose, I literally just saw myself dying over and over and over and over thousands of times. It was not very pleasant, right? It was 16 hours of just experiencing myself dying over and over again. And I asked, like a few people that have been in this world for a long time, what does this mean? Because I didn't really fully understand it. And what the best way that it was described to me was that these were all my past lives, the identities that I was holding on to, that were still a part of me, that were holding me back, and these karmic lessons that have not been cleared yet. And I literally felt like, parts of myself were coming back to me, almost like, like a broken vase was actually being like just remolded for me, like as far as my conscious is concerned. I think that's like about the way that I can explain it. And clearing out the things that were holding me back from these past lives, from these ancestral parts of myself, infused me with the gifts of having the strength, the energy, and the power, and the courage to face myself to that level, to clear out all this baggage from all my past lives. And as I did that, like literally my healing abilities, my ability to literally pull trauma out of people, which is what the fundamental part of what I do now, it increased like 20-fold. I mean, after that, I'll tell you a little story real quick. About 2 months after that fourth Iboga flood dose, I was living in LA, and I met these 3 girls, these 3 young girls. They were all sex trafficked, and they were all picked up when they were in the LA DSS, or like foster care system, and they flew them up to some place that was snowy. And like I heard their whole story with this journalist. I was writing it down, and it was just heart-wrenching. One of these girls, 21 years old, she had 6 kids, and one of her kids died when he was 10 months old. He was murdered by this guy. She tried to murder the guy that murdered her baby, and then she went to prison for it. Crazy. I mean, I've experienced a lot of bad shit in my life, but that right there humbled me big time. And so I worked with these girls, and I pulled out some of the darkest, craziest shit, like stuff that nobody should ever have to feel or go through. And the people that are doing this to people, like, You have to have no soul to be able to do that to children. I mean, how dare you? Like, that just made me like, fuck you, right? But we can't sit in that anger either. Yes, it's nasty. Yes, it's fucked up. Yes, like that shit should not be happening. But the truth of the matter is that's happening everywhere around the world, right? And we have to stay focused on our mission with love and compassion in our heart to meet these children, meet these people with love and compassion so that we can do our part to help them clear out that pain and that trauma. But we have to be very centered and very powerful and very organized within ourselves to be able to do that. Now, as we're building these new, I believe new types of businesses and, relationship, get out of the relationships, right? No more relationships, get to the relationships that are healthy, that are, like I call you out, you call me out, we build each other up. We apologize if we're triggered. Like we come back together, we own our own shit. We take extreme responsibility for our lives, for ourselves, for our growth, right? Because we know deep down, like, am I being a dick? Am I the one that's wrong here? And if I am, I need to own up to it. I need to do the right thing. And we come together, and that's how we, the people, come together to help out these other people that don't have that support. All right. It's up to us because the people that have been creating these scenarios of manipulation and of pain and of all this nasty shit, these politicians that are just super, super demonic, they are going away. They're falling away because that stuff isn't working. And the truth, the deep, deep, difficult truth outside as well as in here is all coming up to be shed. And when Pluto goes into Aquarius, we're going to see a whole new level of this truth coming out to the world where a lot of us are going to be like, what the fuck? There's still more layers of what the fuck, okay? But that's okay. And this is going to shift to a new normal for everyone. So being open and having the good support system and having the right, team around you to build people you can trust. Okay. And a lot of us have trust issues because of all the ways we've been hurt and all the things that have happened throughout our life. Let it go because that part of our life is coming to an end and it's coming very, very soon. All right. So on that note, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll be posting this on my YouTube as well. And I still post all these videos, new moon, full moon, weekly energy report, and monthly energy reports on my YouTube. Please go there and check it out. It's Biowzrd. I also have some pretty badass playlists on there. Whenever I do my work, I use these, these shamanic songs that are pretty badass. I mean, I like to think so. That'll really get you in that, like a trance-like state. I use them for pretty much everything I do, and it keeps me in the zone. I can't listen to regular music anymore. Regular music is just so nasty. It's Zan, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And if you guys would like to, Poetic, what's up, dude? Thank you. Love you too, Gaitan. If you guys like a reading for me, go to my LinkedIn on my Instagram or just, DM me on there, or you can email me at thebiowzrd@gmail.com. And I'll be, coming on here much more often, to connect with you guys, to help out with the energies, because, that's what I feel is my duty to you guys, and continue to show you everything that I'm doing to keep myself healthy and keep myself on track and to keep growing and building the vision in the life that I want to create and that I want to see for the future, through being the change. Hopefully it'll inspire you to be the change as well. All right. So have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to y'all on the next video.